Okay, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, let's get ready for the end of the week market wrap up. If you missed it, make sure you go back on the Substack or the channel or my YouTube or TikTok, wherever you're seeing this. I did a end of the month on Wednesday where we went through a whole bunch of monthly charts. But what we're going to do today is we're going to go through a whole bunch of weekly charts, try to figure out what's going to be on the go going into next week, try to look at stocks that I'm interested looking at, but I'll tell you, spoiler alert now, there's not many, and I'll kind of explain why. But just get an overall feel of the market. As always, if you are not signed up for the Substack, make sure you do that. Go to statsedgetrading.com. You can sign up for the Substack there because you get this just emailed directly to you. You can watch it on your phone. You also get some screenshots and some more explanation via text for those who are more readers. And even if you're not, you just make sure you get it to your email. So without further ado, we're going to pop into it here, and we are going to get started, as always, with Bitcoin, BTC, USD. And we are coming into, this is the line I actually drew on the monthly chart, we're coming into this Fibonacci retracement zone. If you look from the very bottom to the very top here, all-time highs to, we'll call this the bear market bottom, we are getting into that a little bit. Now, for me, what's more interesting is actually this zone right here. Areas that we've broken down from traditionally can be resistance on the way back up. Now, full disclosure, I'm long some Bitcoin. I bought some in the breakout. I bought a little bit more as we did another breakout. So I am long. I'm a little nervous around this area, so I'm looking to maybe take some profits and then move on a little bit from that one. Just if we get a pullback into a zone like right here and we hold that, that will be my cue to really lay on it, because you guys know I love when we retest breakout points. But to be, fully fair, we are retesting a breakdown point here, so I need to watch this area very closely. And then this is kind of what they call the golden zone for Fibonacci traders, an area that we could get into and could cause some problems. And that's a big zone from 36 to 48,000. I'm not going to just say, hey, the bottom of that zone is definitely going to be resistance, but we could be coming into some here, and we just need to note that. Also, Ethereum, still not getting off the mat. So I just want to, hey, if you're someone who's chasing altcoins, if you're trying to chase Ethereum, looks like this so far is a Bitcoin only rally. And we want to make sure we are sticking where is strong and not where is weak, right? That's the kind of tenet, I guess, of technical analysis. Now, dollar index. Let me just delete this and delete that. That was from a daily chart. But we had this big push up, a big consolidation in here. To be honest, the more we rested within this zone, the more worried that I was that this was just going to be a bull flag and we are going to push higher. Could still obviously be the case. We had a very bearish week here on the markets, pulling back on the dollar. That's going to be good for stocks. Every time the dollar sells down a little bit, that's going to be good for the long term for stocks. So definitely good there, but we do have some areas to watch for, right? We just talked about it in Bitcoin. Areas in which we've broken out from on the way up can become support on the way down. So I'm watching this 105 to 104 area on the DXY or the dollar index. So we're going to go to USD, JPY, and we're going to take a look at this long trudge back to all-time highs. Pulled back, bounced dramatically in this long, slow trudge to all-time highs. I've talked about this a lot, but the Bank of Japan has been saying for a while they're going to start defending their currency. Seems like a logical area to defend your currency if you're actually going to do it this time. But we are in this massive uptrend. So until I see otherwise, I need to kind of bet that, hey, we could push a little higher. However, this topping tail right over resistance, right at all-time highs, that's got to get me a little worried. So I don't own any of this. On the shorter term time frame, I may be looking short going into next week, just because a weak pullback, a 1 week, not weakness, but in time frame, a weekly pullback to here or to here after that big topping tail wouldn't be shocking, and it really wouldn't even be bearish. Again, all the time we want to look at structure. We could pull back into this structure high and then still bounce, and that would be fine. That would be a very tradable event. So I got my eyes on that now. But how much of this is strength in the yen versus weakness in the dollar. We just showed how the dollar was really weak. Could that have been causing that? So I'm going to look at the other things that are denoted in yen. So we have Aussie yen, right? Aussie yen really, really strong and closed the week strong. A nice bullish range up here could be breaking out. So this is why you take the currency that you're interested in and then start comparing it to different currencies, right? It's why you see that I have on this list like CAD CHF. I may rarely trade CAD CHF. It just seems like a weird pair. But if I'm interested in what's going on with CHF or I'm interested in what's going on with CAD, I want to compare those to a bunch of different currencies, right? You never know. There's an old trading saying, never confuse strength in or weakness in the denominator for strength in the numerator. I probably butchered that. But basically, when you're doing a cross comparison like this, which is in this case two currencies, but you could also do it by saying you see a lot of charts out there. Here's Apple divided by Google. Well, that line could be going up because Apple's going up, or that line could be going up because Google's going down, right? So you want to get under the hood and compare them versus different assets. Aussie yen looks pretty strong. Speaking of, pound yen also looking pretty strong. Held this area of resistance, you guys have seen on my chart for ages, and put in a little bit of a bullish week right here. So some things to think about. Now we're going to take a look at euro and we're going to look at pound in dollars. Nice bounce off of this AVWAP. We were looking at this for ever since it came down to here. So we've been looking at this for 4 or 5 weeks, bounced off of there. The question is the same with the dollar. Is this just a relief bounce? This thing was down like 12 weeks in a row, and now it's bouncing up. Is this just going to be a bounce up and fail? Right, bounce up a bit and then sell back down? Or is this actually a tradable bottom? So again, you'll see this theme throughout this analysis. And when I was doing this analysis, this is what I came to. The next few weeks are more important than this week. This week, I did a really good job patting myself in the back there. We talked about some anchored VWAP levels. I took some good trades. It was a very profitable week. I've moved to cash a little bit, and I'll explain why. But I want next week feels to me like it's going to be a watch and see week. Ideally, we get a rest or we get a pullback, and then we see some strength the following week. I hope that makes sense. It will as we go through this. So same with cable, the kids call it. Pound dollar came back to this anchored VWAP right here, held, bounced off of that level. The question is, it's got a lot of resistance as it came down through here. Is it going to struggle on the way back up? And then if it struggles, what happens, right? Well, there's a very lot of what ifs. There's no clear levels for me to play with right now. So that is currencies. Now let's get into stocks. If you haven't, take a look at the S&P 500 right here. Just take, long week. If you haven't, take a look at the Trade Ideas test drive. It's starting right here. You go to statsedgetrading.com. You can find a link there. You can use StatsEdge 25 to even save yourself 25% off. You just want to, if you know you like the product and you want to try it, you can enter our paper trading competition, which is going to be fun. I'm excited for. We can you can win $1,700 just from playing. So definitely check that out. Now we got to get into it. Let's start with the SPY. I'm going to go in here, and I'm just going to go SPY because I anchored VWAP. Not quite there for the web version, but I've seen it. They're working on it on top of a lot of drawing tools and things like that. So this is the anchored VWAP. Let's go back in time. So the reason I was looking for a bounce last week is this anchored VWAP right here from the bear market lows. This is the October lows that started this massive year-long bull market, and then we pulled back. We pulled right into that anchored VWAP. I was interested there in that zone. Now that we've bounced from there, I have to watch the anchored VWAP from the bear market highs or the bull market highs. That makes perfect sense. We tagged that like to the tick, like within 40 cents, I believe, on the day. Yeah, within 40 cents. You can see right to the tick right there. And then we started to pull off it. So I am betting, I am thinking that we may need a little bit of a rest. It was a massive move off the bottom. Got a lot of people who were short offside, really, really offside. Now we have to go, okay, what's next? I wouldn't be surprised if this anchored VWAP gives us a little trouble, if we maybe pull back a bit or we spend next week chopping around. Just like currencies, this seems like next week could be a wait. It could be a pullback week. And then I want to see if it is a wait week, do we resolve from waiting higher? Do we resolve lower? And if it is a pullback, do we resolve from a pullback higher? Do we resolve from a pullback lower? Basically more of, I don't really know. I don't have any bias going into next week. And for me, that's a little bit dangerous. Now, URA, and we'll go back to, let's actually go back here. I really like these charts better on the web version. They just need me to put my anchored VWAP on there and drawing tools. They're working on it. Don't worry. So weekly chart on URA, we have this flag push up, and it's been consolidating here for a month or so. I've been talking about this for a month or so. Big push up, strong week. Uranium, I think we could see some continuation on. Now, then you look at things that led a lot of the market. Look at TAN, for example. Little relief bounce, but would you put this in the bullish chart camp? Probably not, right? XLE does look interesting though. However, XLE looks like something that I would put in the bullish XLE in the bullish chart camp, where we have potentially now a bull flag happening now that we found some support here. We talked about this a few times. We've tapped this high 3 times now, and now it's pulling back. The question is it going to be a pullback like this that takes a long period of time, or is it going to be a shallow pullback and a rally? In which case, this could be a very viable breakout in energy that I'm watching very closely. KRE, regional banks, looked like it was going to be the end of the world for a while there, again, as these started to roll back over. But we put in a doji, and a doji is candlestick analysis I love. A doji just represents indecision. It's a week where the market sold off a bit, it bounced a bit, but the buyers and sellers kind of found equilibrium at that opening price. This week, we broke that and rallied super hard. This 40 level in uranium continues, or not in uranium, in regional banks, continues to be very, very strong. So I'm going to watch that. I did buy some uranium this week. Again, full disclosure, I'll always tell you guys that. So for me, it's, hey, if we hold 40, I want to be involved in uranium. If we're under 40, or regional banks. If we hold 40, I want to be involved in regional banks. If we sell below it, then I'm a little bit worried. Let's go to the financials. Our financial stuff. Let's talk about TLT. Massive bounce. However, my worry on bonds is that we have this resistance here overhead. So we have to retake that and trade above it before I'm at all interested in bonds in any way, shape, or form. Same kind of look in XBI or biotechs. A lot of these charts were coming into this overhead resistance. A lot of them pushing up into this overhead resistance. IWM as well. Right? We're not out of the woods yet is basically my theme here. Yes, we had a very strong week. Thankfully, we participated in this very strong week. I don't think we're out of the woods yet. So we have to be careful, in my opinion. We have to be careful going forward. And next week, I think could chop some people up. And then the following week, I think is going to be very interesting. So I talk about this, and let me go full screen for a second. I talk about this all the time. So I am a relative strength trader, which means I want to identify the strongest names in the market. I want to participate in those strongest names in the market. Now, what does a relative strength trader who trade like that do when the market is just a rocket ship? Right? 2 options. One, I either participate in the strongest names who are also already a rocket ship, which, that means I'm buying things that could be overextended. I could be buying things that, are up, where the market's up 6-7 days before. I could be buying things that are up 10 days in a row. It's not something I want to do. Or I'm looking for bases to break out of. then I have to ask myself, why has this name not yet broken out of a base, right? If the market's rallying and this thing has just been sitting there, then isn't it relatively weak? And this is a problem I come with every time the market rallies. But it's my job to just start identifying names and start picking things so that when the market pulls back or when the market pauses, then I can start doing my work again. Now I have a portfolio that is a lot of cash because I sold a lot today and yesterday, but I still hold some longs. So I can sit back and I can let those longs work. And then I just have to wait, right? So that's why when we're in this segment now of, what am I watching? It's not going to be a lot because there's not a lot of things to me, or anything really that I want to kind of get involved with right now. What I want to do is I want to wait. This is why I love Trade Ideas, which I use, that I can wait and I can start to build my list when the market pauses or when the market pulls back. For now, I'm just going to enjoy the ride. Thankful to be on the ride, and I'm just going to enjoy the ride. Now, that being said, if I am looking at things, there are going to be some shorts, and I don't talk about shorts very often, for the main reason that shorts can be dangerous, right? So I want to make sure that when I'm talking about some of these short names, that I'm doing so, and I know that, hey, if you're shorting and you're swing shorting, can be very dangerous. You have to be very, very careful. Again, I don't do much of it. It's more of a engagement tool. It's more of, hey, if the market's going to chill out a little bit, maybe these are some things to look at. And I'm going to show scanning this live, which is something that I don't really do too much. But what I'm doing, so I found a scan that I love within Trade Ideas. This is the anchored VWAP pullback scan, and you can see it's looking for stocks that are bouncing into anchored VWAPs, that are a little bit overextended, just like I like to buy stocks that are pulling down into anchored VWAPs, and you can see it's drawing these anchored VWAPs for me. So here we go with General Mills. It's very interesting. Could roll back over. This anchored VWAP from this high right here is interesting. And I'm going to add some names like this. So a lot of these will be on, if I find anything else, I may not, but if I find anything else, I'm going to put this on the email list. So make sure you go to statsedtrading.com, you sign up for the email list, find names like RCL, for example, right? Could be nearing that anchored VWAP, a nice rally here into some prior resistance. This is what I'm going to be spending the next little bit doing. So sign up for that email list over at statsedtrading.com. I will include that. I'll include anything I find at the bottom of that. You'll get access to my watch list of price alerts right here, that you can just import into Trade Ideas. So thank you guys for coming. And as always, it's the weekend. Get away from the screens. I'll talk to you next week.